Good afternoon and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. I am Nolin Ebel Ame with the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed confidence in the ability of the incoming Bola Tinubu administration towards providing crucial support to the Nigerian Navy so that positive trajectory achieved so far will be sustained. Speaking at the Presidential Fleet Review of the Nigerian Navy at the Naval Dockyard in Lagos, the President expressed immense satisfaction with the array of naval assets on display in demonstration of its combat readiness for national security and prosperity. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
On display during the show of force demonstrating the combat readiness of the Nigerian Navy towards protecting the nation's maritime domain in the greater interest of the economy are various naval assets including warships, boats and helicopters. Also on aerial display to show solidarity were Nigerian Air Force platforms including the A-29 Super Tucano aircraft. President Muhammadu Buhari, who inaugurated some of the notable additions to the fleet of the Nigerian Navy, also used the opportunity to formally launch the National Maritime Security Strategy.
This review is, however, unique as it is organized in honor of Mr. President, who has provided unprecedented support to the Nigerian Navy in terms of fleet recapitalization, infrastructural development and personnel welfare, thereby boosting morale and fighting efficiency. Induction of these platforms into the Nigerian Navy fleet will lead to further decline in maritime crimes, thereby boosting socio-economic activities within the Nigerian maritime environment.
President Buhari, who applauded the application of technology in securing the maritime domain, noted with delight the significant reduction in piracy over the past 7 years, leading to Nigeria's removal from the list of piracy-prone countries by the International Maritime Bureau.
As you are outgoing President and Commander-in-Chief, this is a moment of immense joy and satisfaction for me. The nation is proud of your numerous achievements. I have no doubt that the incoming administration of President-elect, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will sustain the current tempo of our administration in giving Navy necessary support to effectively carry out its assigned tasks.
Praising the impressive combat displays staged by elements of the Nigerian Navy Special Boat Service, President Buhari expects this to translate into actual capability to dominate Nigeria's maritime environment and secure the vast resources therein for socio-economic development of the country.
There is a strong link between maritime security and economic prosperity. This is considering that our maritime environment serves both as a storehouse of resources as well as medium for maritime transport. Thus, the safe and secure utilization of those resources for national prosperity in support of Nigeria's blue economy aspirations is cardinal to the Navy's policing duties.
The theme for the 2023 Presidential Fleet Review is Fleet Readiness for National Prosperity. From Lagos, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has written to Senate seeking approval for the reimbursement of 16.7 billion naira to Borno State for federal route projects carried out by the state. The executive communication highlighted that the request is sequel to the approval by the Federal Executive Council on the 3rd of May 2023. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nko reports.
First plenary of the week, 21 days to the end of this assembly. There are still some pending issues that need consideration, and the Senate is not relenting. The day's business commenced with President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, reading executive communication from President Muhammadu Buhari seeking approval to refund Borno State for road projects it executed.
Was based on an appeal by the state and my directive to the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing to ensure that sufficient funds are provided for the completion of Dambua-Chibok Road based on the current cost of completion of the project. The Honorable Minister of Works and Housing would provide any additional information that may be required by National Assembly for the consideration of this request.
Senate continued with the consideration of executive request. It confirmed the nomination of Funke Opeke for appointment as member of the Universal Service Provision Board, Abike Debiri Arewa as chairman and chief executive officer of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission for a second term. It also confirmed 3 nominees for appointment as members of the governing board of the Niger Delta Development Commission: Bernard Okumaba, Patrick Asioweren, and Kirian Uchebu. Senate passed the Parliamentary Welfare Program Bill and the Nigerian College of Taxation and Fiscal Studies Establishment Bill.
Funding system for the welfare and well-being of the former members of the National Assembly.
Senate condemned attacks on communities in Mangu local government area of Plateau State and called on security agencies to provide protection for people of the area as moved by Senator Nora Dadut.
Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and FEMA to provide immediate relief to the IDP camps.
And of course, there should be an improvement in the security immediately to make sure that there is no infiltration by those people or their agents.
The bill seeking to prohibit secret recruitment in the Federal Civil Service passed first reading. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The House of Representatives has urged the federal government to find lasting solutions to issues surrounding distribution and supply of electricity across the country. It also wants electricity distribution companies to fulfill agreements by paying up invoices and post-bank guarantees. The House notes that the Transmission Company of Nigeria has commenced disconnecting electricity distribution companies, DISCOs, from the national grid for not complying with operational costs and guidelines. The motion from Oyemi Idim observes that the disconnection of DISCOs is disrupting supply of electricity, thereby affecting businesses and lives of Nigerians. House members note that almost all the DISCOs are in default and that the grace period given for compliance is almost over. The House urges the DISCOs to dialogue with TCN towards resolving the issues. With a few days to the end of the present administration, President Muhammadu Buhari says he is committed to delivering developmental services to Nigerians even to the last day in office. He was speaking at the inauguration of 7 legacy projects across the country. President Muhammadu Buhari has delivered the 7-year-old Second Niger Bridge, a legacy project conceptualized in 2014 for execution through public-private partnership but was not successful. Then construction began in 2016 with the Presidential Infrastructure Development Fund.
Government is a tool to fight poverty, to create economic growth and employment, and to open the path of prosperity for our people. I am not oblivious of the concerns and debates about our stock of public debt. Those concerns are legitimate and in many instances well-meaning. Many of the debts are tied to projects and are transparent and verifiable.
Others are the Lokoweto Bridge across River Benue to link Benue to Nasarawa State and the Ikom Bridge in Cross River State. While the road project is the more than 200 kilometers of Kano-Kaduna dual carriage express and 3 new federal secretariats in Oka, Gusau and Yenagua. Another legacy project to be inherited by the next administration is the Wadi B drilling campaign flagged off by Mr. President. The Federal Secretariat Complex Phases 1, 2, 3 and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will be cordoned off by security operatives from 2 p.m. on Friday, 26th May 2023 to Monday, 29th May 2023. This is in line with the security arrangements for the inauguration parade and swearing-in of President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Monday, 29th May 2023 at Eagle Square, Central Business District, Abuja. In a statement signed by the Permanent Secretary, Service Welfare Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Dr. Ngozi Onwudiwe, intending visitors to the affected areas will not be allowed access till Tuesday, 30th May 2023, when work will resume in earnest. The federal government has restated its commitment to repositioning local governments as drivers of grassroots development. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, stated this while receiving a report on strengthening local governance, challenges, options and opportunities from members of Senior Executive Course 44 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, SKURU, led by the Monitor General, Assistant Inspector of Police, Aishatu Abubakar Baju. The report was presented to the SGF for inclusion in the transition documents for the incoming administration. The SGF underscored the importance of local governments in effective governance, describing the third tier of government as pivotal to the sustenance of good governance and democracy in Nigeria. He says recommendations by the Senior Executive Course 44 would form part of issues to be addressed by the incoming administration. AIG Aishatu Abubakar Baju said the theme, strengthening local governance, challenges, options and opportunities, was given to the Senior Executive Course 44 by President Muhammadu Buhari, and far-reaching recommendations were proffered in its report. The recommendations include enhancing human capacity building for citizens' participation in decision-making, projects planning and implementation, as well as accountability and transparency in the utilization of resources, especially at local government level. The Presidential Election Petition Court has ordered the consolidation of the 3 surviving petitions pending before it. The 5-man panel of justices led by Justice Haruna Simon Samani gave the order while presenting the court's pre-hearing session reports. Delia Tumbi of our judiciary desk reports.
Surviving petitions were filed in March 2023 following the victory of the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the February 25, 2023 general election. The petitioners are Atiku Abubakar of the PDP, Peter Obi of Labour Party and Allied People's Movement. During the pre-hearing session, 2 petitions were withdrawn by the petitioners and subsequently struck out by the Presidential Election Petition Court sitting in Abuja. Atiku Abubakar and Allied People's Movement were not averse to the consolidation of the petitions before the court. Peter Obi and all the respondents except the electoral umpire, INEC, were all against the consolidation of the petitions. In its ruling, the Presidential Election Petition Court ordered that all the remaining petitions should be consolidated as required by law. The order of the court in respect of consolidation of petitions is in line with paragraph 50 of the first schedule of the Electoral Act 2022. The court also ordered that hearing of the main petitions will commence on Tuesday, 30th May 2023.
Our session has been speedily concluded by the court. It was done within record time. Now we are going into the proper hearing. And also, in order to make sure that the matters are fast-tracked, the court has also consolidated all the three petitions, despite opposition from some quarters. Now we can all hear this matter effectively and with speed.
The court has a discretion to reduce the hearing, the period of hearing as presented in the Electoral Act. And that's what I've done, because if we are to be given our 7 weeks, it means that our petition will even expire. And that will not be in our own interest. So what we have to do is to do case management.
This report brings to an end the pre-hearing section on all the 3 surviving presidential election petitions. At the adjourned date of 30th May 2023, there will be full-blown hearing of the 3 petitions. In Abuja, Dele Atumbi, NTA News.
We'll now join Adiola in our Lagos Network Center for more reports from that axis. Good afternoon, Adiola.
Good afternoon, Nolan. To create awareness among parliamentarians in African countries on how to formulate laws and constitute oversight functions in addressing climate change in the continent, the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, in partnership with African Group of Negotiators Expert Support, Agnes, is exchanging ideas with parliamentarians from African countries in Lagos. Larry Belay has details of the engagement.
Seated in this hall are parliamentarians and staff of legislative houses of countries in Africa, rubbing minds on ways to scale up lawmaking sessions in their various parliaments on climate change, which they admitted has not really received needed attention. For the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, convener of the conference, led by its Director General, Professor Abdullahi Suleiman, the objective of the workshop is to discuss ways of harmonizing lawmaking process on climate change in Africa.
If we talk about evaluation, monitoring, where there are no laws, the first thing is how do we get laws in place? How do we get laws, on ground? How do we make sure we come up with legislation on climate change to save the life of our people?
This view is corroborated by African Group of Negotiators Expert Support, Agnes, and parliamentarians from other countries.
We suffer a lot from losses and damages from climate change. But how much of it are we quantifying, and how are we articulating all these things to the international community?
We've been having series of meetings as to how we can reserve part of our land to prevent climate change in our country.
We cannot do much if we don't have legislation, because that gives us the power to be able to push for additional budget, to be able to push for certain policies, policy direction.
Another goal of the conference is to ensure public and private enterprises commit to zero emissions through legislative laws in participating countries. In Lagos, Larry Belay, NTA News.
To improve its tactical approach to combat security threats, especially non-conventional warfare, which requires a paradigm shift, the Nigerian Army has commenced a 3-day training for 50 senior officers to improve their cognitive skills to take swift and accurate decisions in the theater of operations. Joel Pokuola reports that the biannual seminar holding at the NASFA Auditorium in Araka Barracks, Apapa, Lagos, is organized by the Nigerian Army Finance Corps in conjunction with the Nigerian Institute of Management.
The Nigerian Army wants its officers and men to think outside the box in tandem with global best practice, and this is the thrust of Nigerian Army Leadership Development Course 2023, with the theme, the importance of cognitive skills in leadership within a complex environment designed in response to contemporary security challenges which demands retraining to surmount. The Commandant's Nigerian Army School of Signals, who declared the seminar open, says the expectations from the participants who are within the rank bracket of Lieutenant Colonel and Colonel is more efficiency in decision-making and better management of man and material resources.
Cognitive abilities will help officers improve their capacity to respond more appropriately to rather complex scenarios that unfold in the theaters of operations.
Earlier in his welcome address, the Commandant, Nigerian Army School of Finance and Administration, said the NASFA, which is the training arm of the Finance Corps, was established in 1968 and has so far trained 4,542 graduates at both higher national diploma and national diploma levels, while admission is now being conducted through the Joint Admission and Matriculations Board, JAMB.
This is indicative of the school's high standards as reflected in the performance of our graduates. It is also reflective of cooperation with sister services and security agencies, which is a cardinal pillar of the vision of the Chief of Army Staff.
Various specialized topics on cognitive development will be treated for the next 3 days. In Lagos, Joel Bukbola, NTA News.
And those are the stories from Lagos for now. Remember that you can still follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. Nationwide will continue after this time out with Felicia Angels. To stay with us.
Still on to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Welcome to Jos. The Plateau State Governorship Election Tribunal has commenced sitting at the High Court 2 West of Mines in Jos. Ruth Stephen Hoke reports that the three-man panel of the Election Tribunal is headed by Justice Rita Irele Ifene, SAN.
In her inaugural speech, called on all parties, including counsel in the petition before the tribunal, to cooperate to ensure speedy delivery of justice, promising to be fair to all parties. Justice Rita Irele Ifene, SAN, urged all the counsel to follow all the necessary processes in the petition, while reiterating that the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. Also admonished the counsel not to dwell so much on technicalities. On behalf of the bar, Professor Kayode Olatoke, SAN, counsel to the petitioner, pledged the unalloyed support of the bar to deliver justice to the petition before the tribunal on the issue of when hearing should commence. The chairman of the tribunal adjourned pre-hearing to Thursday, 25th May 2023.
We are going to cooperate with them to ensure that the assignments is discharged within record time. And that was the basis upon which I opposed the idea that we should adjourn today till next week. So that's to show that we are ready for serious business and we are going to cooperate with them.
Our hope and our take is that as council we will ensure that every step is taken to ensure speedy disposition of the petitions. For us, we are ready at any time we are called upon to do our work.
In Jos, Ruth Stephen Hockey, NTA News.
Judicial system in Plateau State is receiving a boost with the inauguration of its complex by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariola Alisabotukaye, and will take a look at the impact of the complex on the dispensation of justice.
Critical infrastructure is key to the development of various economic sectors. As for the judicial system in Plateau State, this high court complex, which has 9 courts, a multi-door courthouse, various halls, a library, and tools for the effective functionality of these offices, will ease the delivery of justice. The Chief Justice, Nigeria, Chief Justice Olukayode Ariola, represented by President of the Court of Appeal, Justice Monica Dembe Mensen, is of the view that to administer justice to the people, the judiciary must be provided with tools, including a conducive environment. He appreciates Governor Simon Lalong for providing such an environment, granting autonomy to the judicial system, urging for synergy between the 3 arms of government to ensure good governance.
This new high court complex is one of the first vital tools to ensure effective functionality in the administration and extension of justice.
The 9 courts in the complex can sit simultaneously and comfortably, and the multi-door courthouse as a center for alternative dispute resolution to create room for settling disputes without necessarily going through the court system. In Jos, Elizabeth Kai Andrew, NTA News.
Those are the stories from here. Let's rejoin Norlin in Abuja for the continuation of Nationwide. Norlin, it's back to you.
Thank you very much, Felicia. And this is Abuja. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the reorganization of agencies under the Ministry of Aviation in line with the new acts of the National Assembly, which he assented to, gazetted recently. Highlights of the reorganization include the creation of new directorates in some of the agencies, prominent amongst which are the Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, Corporate Services and Aviation Security Directorates. The creation of the Public Affairs and Consumer Protection Directorate is to put the agencies on their toes in terms of adequately addressing complaints by their respective stakeholders and oversee the public affairs, protocol, consumer protection, Servicom and anti-corruption departments, while the Aviation Security Directorate in the NCAA will regulate the activities of the AVSEC personnel, especially with their recent arms-bearing status. The Corporate Services Directorates are to oversee the procurement and planning, research and departments. In line with the above, the President has approved the appointment of Kabir Yusuf Muhammad as the new Managing Director and the Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN. Similarly, Engineer Tayyip Oduno has been appointed the Substantive Managing Director of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, NAMA, to take over from Mr. Matthew Lawrence Pwajok, who reverts to his substantive position as Director of Operations of the agency. The Directors General of the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, NSIP, Engineer Akin Olateru, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, Professor Mansur Matazu, and Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, NCAA, Captain Musa Nuhu, are to run the remaining course of their tenures in line with the acts setting up their respective agencies, while the Rector of the Nigerian College of Aviation Technologies area, Captain Alkali Modibo, has been granted a one-year extension, also in line with the act setting up the college. The Minister of Aviation has also approved the appointment of some new directors. This is to address the requirements of the Act for appropriate placement and federal character requirements. The Office of the Auditor General of the Federation and the Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Investigators of Nigeria are strengthening ways of tackling corruption, illicit financial flows, and other forms of criminality in Nigeria. While signing a memorandum of understanding between both organizations in Abuja, it was noted that with the support of the Chartered Institute of Forensics and Certified Fraud Investigators of Nigeria, collaborating with other enforcement agencies, time and financial resources will be saved with the use of forensic and technological accuracy.
That will see if we can fight corruption in the MDAs, that's the ministries and all that. You don't expect EFCC to come into that place and to also help us to sanitize Nigeria. And then you see, we'll be able to train more, capacity building, train more of my staff, and they will also be able to fight this corruption together with CFN.
This partnership will be very, very transformative when it comes to audit as we know it. And in particular, the infusion of forensic investigation, fraud examination, into the practice of audit. I think that will go a long way in assuaging, if not eliminating, the massive challenges that we have when it comes to financial statements of government, as we have seen over the years.
With the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, they will be working together to build the capacity of auditors in the directorate cadre across the 3 tiers of government. Still on security, operatives of the Nigeria Police Force National Cybercrime Center have apprehended a 37-year-old Australian national suspected to be involved in fraudulent schemes and recovered the sum of $60,000. Francis Form reports that the suspect was paraded at the force headquarters in Abuja.
Was arrested.
Coming on the heels of actionable intelligence made available by the South Australian Police Department, operatives of the Cybercrime Center of the Nigeria Police Force swung into action and arrested this 37-year-old suspect.
The suspect, in a written statement during police interview and interrogation, freely admitted to have committed the fraud and several others dating back to 2021. In unmasking his modus operandi, investigation reveals that the suspects and his squad usually adopt pseudo-identities of renowned international celebrities, carefully select their victims through different social media platforms, lure them into an attack popularly known as romance scam, and after gaining their trust, subsequently play on their emotion to swindle them of their resources.
Be very, very careful, when we go online to search for romance. Because of course, most of the male folks, that patronizes, the site are cyber criminals.
Leadership of the force enjoins members of the public to exercise restraint in engaging in businesses and relationships with individuals whose real identities have not been physically verified. Force Public Relations Officer Olomuyiwa Adejobi said the process of repatriating the recovered fund to the victim through the Australian consulate is being perfected, while assuring that the suspect will be charged to court upon the conclusion of investigations. Francis from NTA News.
And from Makurdi, Benue State Police Command has rescued 10 kidnapped victims, including a medical doctor working with the Federal Medical Center, Makurdi. While briefing journalists on the feat, the Benue State Commissioner of Police, CP Okoro Olawari Julius, assured Benue people that the command will continue to provide adequate security across the state. Moses Ajaode reports.
Among the successful operations carried out by the command includes the rescue of a medical doctor of the Federal Medical Center, Makurdi, Dr. Etito Obadia, who was kidnapped at Judge's quarters 2 weeks ago. According to the police commissioner, Alawari Julius, the operation was successful owing to the gallant effort of the team of Operation Zenda, JTF, who trailed the kidnappers to their hideout at Gaya village, Utange Council Ward, in Kasinala local government area of the state.
Police were effective, police were accurate. How they caught the accuracy of that court were staying up to now.
In line with my findings, I have re-strategized and drawn a plan to rid Benue State of criminality.
CP Elawari further stated that 3 suspected kidnappers were arrested, while the 4th one lost his life while engaging the police in a gun duel. Items recovered from them include 1 locally fabricated AK-47 rifle with 10 rounds of 7.62 mm live ammunition, 2 single-barrel rifles, and 2 military uniforms. In a related development, the police has also arrested 6 suspected ritualists from Otupo in connection with the murder of 29-year-old Babatunde Moses, whose corpse was seen at the Diku River bank with internal organs removed. He appealed to members of the public to furnish the command with useful information that may lead to the arrest of criminals, especially fleeing members of the kidnap gang who are with bullet wounds. In Makurdi, Moses Ajao Ude, NTA News.
If you just joined us, this is Nationwide News. We'll pause here for commercial break. Thereafter, Nationwide continues with Salamatu in our Kaduna Network Center.
Nationwide on the network service of the NTA, and glad to have you join us here in Kaduna.
Still on security, Chief of the Army Staff Lieutenant General Farouk Yahaya has advised terrorists to surrender and join in nation building or continue to face the consequences of their actions against humanity. He stated this at the passing out of troops of Operation Restore Hope 4 of the Nigerian Army held at the Army Base Camp, Kachia, Kaduna State. Suleiman Regachkun reports.
A demonstration of the future of the Nigerian Army in national defense and security. 637 soldiers of 83 recruit intake of the Army selected for 4th set of exercise Restore Hope, demonstrating prowess in combat operations in challenging security environment. They are specially trained on the dynamics, strategies and tactics of war against criminality and threat to human existence, which include distance shooting, sniper shooting, assault attack, reactive shooting, among other techniques of war.
When troops train together, they form a bond and cohesion, and with that, they can take up on any mission that is assigned to them.
Unlike the first, second, and third set of troops trained by foreign trainers, this 4th set were trained by indigenous trainers.
Anybody who take up arms against the nation, where we get to him, and the earlier they give up and come back to build the nation, the better. Otherwise, in their bushes, in their enclaves, in their hide, I will wish them and send them to heaven.
Exercise Restore Hope is a training model developed by the Nigerian Army to improve its capability of grading criminality in Nigeria. Suleiman Regachkun, NTA News.
And that's all we can take from our package from here. More reports will continue in our Abuja studio with Nolin. Good evening.
Thank you very much, Salamatu. And still on security, the National Defense College NDC is developing the capacity of military personnel to enhance their relevance for post-retirement life, a think tank for the armed forces. This was the focus of the maiden seminar organized by the Apex Armed Forces Training Institution for military personnel to improve their productivity in the society. In a message, the Commandant National Defense College Rear Admiral Murtala Bashir charged participants to view retirement as a new productive phase.
The cardinal factors responsible for low life expectancy of poor quality of life of retirees.
The whole essence of this is to get people prepared, because most times, people think about retirement, it comes like a sudden thing and it's scary. You may not know how well prepared you are. So we realize that there's a gap, in terms of the service. People put in a lot of their time, a lot of their years in service and not really fully prepared, not understanding what to face when they retire.
Members of the armed forces are said to be in the nation's reserve force list after retirement from service. Participants were drawn from the military and paramilitary security agencies. The book, Diary of an African Woman, that highlights the high and lows of the women folk, has been unveiled in Abuja. Deborah Balagbobo reports that the book aims to further enlighten people on challenging issues faced by women.
A compilation of records of experiences and observation. Book reviewers describe Diary of an African Woman as a practical daily guide to women of all class and cultures.
The book is an invaluable compendium of useful and practical information for women, young, single women, married, divorced, or widowed.
This book will go all over the world because it represents a lot of the realities that women face and the larger society, community, and everyone needs to understand.
Author of the book, Vivian Soni Inserim, whose drive for helping particularly young and single mothers is hopeful that the book provides the strength for women with challenges.
Instead of competing with another woman, inspire her, let her be a motivation to you to grow too in your own endeavor in life.
This is an absolute unity that we are looking for, an absolute new Nigeria, an absolute
progressive-minded Nigerians we need, and she has gotten the quality, and that's why we are by her side.
Women is to encourage each other, and I believe Dr. Vivian has written so much that needs to go out there, send a message to both the men and the women on behalf of African women.
The proceeds from the sales of the book was promised to Young Moms Academy Skills Acquisition Center for Less Privileged Women. In Abuja, Deborah Balagbobo, NTA News.
Still on family values, there has been an advocacy for society to pay more attention to the boy child to groom responsible men in the society. Ruth Agwele reports that a non-governmental organization led a sensitization campaign to government secondary school Day in the Federal Capital Territory on personal hygiene with a focus on the boy child.
When it comes to personal hygiene, oftentimes the attention is shifted to the girl child. But this campaign at the government secondary school Day in the Federal Capital Territory is focused on the boys.
Do you brush your teeth in the morning?
They are being coached on personal hygiene and ways on how to groom themselves to become more impactful in society.
And so the time has come for us to refocus, redirect our attention so that the boys can be taken care of too, so that everybody will not be taken care of together.
The initiative is organized by a non-governmental organization to promote the well-being of the boy child, to enable them live healthy lives and be valued within family and community.
I make sure that what I'm taught, put it into practice. I will place that I know I'm not hygienic. I'll try to be hygienic enough.
Before I was not really taking it serious, but from what I've learned today, yeah, I'm going to be upfront about it.
So more training is going on for the girl child, but who is training the boy child? The boy child is just left on his own to navigate his way through life. And one of the things we're doing today now is to let them know that hygiene, personal hygiene, is not a girl thing. Every child deserves to be groomed on personal hygiene.
Because when you have a well-trained boy, he will be a well-behaved father, a well-behaved husband. What the world expects them to be gives us a balanced society.
The campaign is in commemoration of the International Day for the Boy Child, which was celebrated on May 16th to raise more awareness on the well-being of boys, ensuring that no boy is left behind. In Abuja, Ruth Agwele, NTA News.
The issue of drug and substance abuse was the topic of discussion at a public lecture in Abuja, with a wake-up call to policymakers on the escalating menace among Nigerian youth. Abdul Malik Hassan reports that the lecture was organized by the National Institute for Cultural Orientation to highlight the urgent need for collective action to address the pressing issue.
A short display on the ills of drug and substance abuse. Faith, a participant at the lecture, passionately shared her personal experiences and concerns regarding the alarming prevalence of drug abuse among her peers. Her heartfelt plea underscored the importance of cultural orientation and education in empowering Nigerian youth, fostering pride in their heritage and providing them with viable alternatives to drug abuse.
But I believe with easy steps, I'll be able to convince them to stop it.
The public lecture brought together a diverse audience, including government officials, academics, cultural experts, and youth advocates. They stressed the significance of preventive measures, comprehensive drug education programs, enhanced support networks, and stringent law enforcement to curb drug trafficking.
Drug abuse and the future of the Nigerian youth is a continuation of our strategic and sustained program of public enlightenment, cultural sensitization and orientation designed to draw national attention to the alarming rate of drug and substance abuse, especially among Nigerian youth.
Drug acts on the central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord. So when the brain is destroyed, very well the other parts of the body will follow suit.
The lecture was rounded off with a resounding call to action to faith and other attendees to join hands in raising awareness and supporting initiatives that will safeguard the well-being and future of Nigerian youth. Abdulmalik Hassan, NTA News.
Let's join Gift George for trending stories in the world of sports.
The Flying Eagles of Nigeria will on Wednesday take on Italy's under-20 men's football team in their second Group D encounter at the ongoing FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Argentina. The Nigerian side defeated debutant Dominican Republic in its first match on Sunday by 2-1, while Italy beat Brazil 3-2. Head coach of the Flying Eagles, Ladamboso, says the team will work on its finishing ahead of the match against the Italians. Both sides need a point from the game to qualify for the round of 16. Still talking football, the Super Falcons' quest to qualify for Paris 2024 Olympics football event would be known later Tuesday, May 2023, as the draws for the qualifiers of the Women's Olympics football tournament will take place in Cairo, Egypt. The draw will mark the beginning of the journey to next year's Olympic Games, scheduled for Paris, France. The African qualifiers will kick off in July 2023 and will be concluded in April 2024. 2 teams will qualify for the Olympics to represent Africa in women's football. Still on the Olympic qualifiers, the Nigerian Weightlifting Federation has commended the country's weightlifters who won 12 medals at the just concluded 2023 Senior African Weightlifting Championship in Tunisia. 5 weightlifters represented the country at the championship, which served as the 2024 Olympic qualifiers. They competed in the 59 kg, 71 kg in the women's category, and 73 kg and 89 kg for the men's event. The 12 medals were 3 gold, 7 silver, and 2 bronze medals. The feat puts Nigeria's quest for 2024 Olympic Games on track. With Sports Update, Gift George, NTA News.
And that concludes Nationwide News today. Thank you for watching. I am Nolin Ebel Ahmed. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.